Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna call to order Town of Swanton Selectboard meeting. It is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Everyone would please join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda review, starting with Christina.
I just have a policy to add to your binders.
Okay. Kathy,
I'm good, thank you.
Nicole.
All set.
Good. Under any other necessary business, and I'm gonna say or/slash correspondence, we were asked a question about the Swanton police budget, so we should discuss that tonight and give them an answer. That was a email that we received last week. That's it.
I'm good.
I just had one question, and that would be to discuss whether or not we needed to begin building a reserve account for the culvert up on the Berry Road.
Yeah, I was gonna discuss that next meeting with the highway budget.
Oh, that's fine,
Kind
yeah,
of
that's fine,
come
yeah,
up
sure.
with some ideas and we can go over that,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely.
Yep, fine.
Brian.
Just one thing, a request from Jim Benson on he purchased a dog trap, and so he's looking to get the 6 towns he does business with to so I'll like to put that under.
Let's just do it with the health officer report.
Yeah.
Oh, no, never mind, health officer, never mind.
No.
We'll do it under
Where we go.
any other necessary business.
Yeah.
You ready for the minutes?
Thanks.
Okay. Minutes, first is the regular select board meeting of November 18th, 2025. I entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Next is a special joint meeting with Highgate Select Board and Swanton Village trustees, November 25, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
I got a second.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Then we move on to the health officer report. Public comment. Thank you, Brian. Public comment for anything that is not on the agenda tonight? Okay. Now we'll go on to law enforcement health officer report, which is on page 5 of our packet.
Very brief.
Yeah, I see there's some library, was it St. Albans, it's working on that issue.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
3 square feet per chicken or something like that, for lodging.
Anybody have anything else regarding the health officer report?
No.
All right. Moving on to highway, I'll give an update, a bigger update. Next meeting, we'll say that all the vehicles are in good running order, at least they were at the start of the snow event. And one vehicle, that one plow that had an issue got repaired last week. And pretty much have received all their sand, and they might get 1 or 2 more loads of salt before the end of the year. But right now, the salt storage capacity is full, so. I'll get a test today and maybe on Thursday from what I hear. Old Town Business, Moyle Valley Rail Trail update between Friday and yesterday. The metal roof has been completed. 1 or 2 little punch list items, but overall the project now is done. Just a real quick recap, archaeological was about 10 grand. Design was about 6 grand. Construction inspection and review of Smithers was about 15 grand. Miscellaneous, 1,200. We had to pay Swanton Village for some electrical wiring and stuff that they did to get power to the site. That was and a little bit on water, so that was 3,300 approximately. Construction was about 470,000. Haven't got the final bill, but it'll be right in that range. So when you take a look at the total cost, and then you take our 20%, our share is going to be about 112,000. We had 145 put aside, so in our special funds, we're going to have a balance to help pay for other possible big projects that are coming up. Give you more detail when we get our final bill. And the camera itself hasn't been installed yet, but that's being done by a separate contractor. Any questions on the LVRT? The one thing we need to do, and bring it up at another meeting, is look into what we can do and what kind of signs we can put there to help our police force move people out of there that are living in their cars. We have someone right now that is, he keeps getting chased out there, but as early as today, or as late as today, this morning, was living out of the car. And it's someone who apparently for the last year has been moving around different parking lots in Swanton. But we gotta look at some terminology that we can use and enforce. I was speaking with a police officer last night, and go over and talk to the police chief and see what we can do.
Is overnight parking allowed there?
No,
Well,
overnight camping.
overnight camping is
Right.
not allowed, but overnight parking is, if like if you were gonna bike to,
Skidoo trail or something?
yeah, or Skidoo, yeah,
We're gonna leave the car there, but not
but not,
the camping.
right.
And I think we gotta get into, something about loitering or something, and it's just obvious that
Right,
they're there living out of their
there
vehicle.
definitely is living in this car.
Yep. DRB request for tablets, next item on the agenda.
At the DRB meeting, it was discussed and they do not want them. They asked for them, so I brought it to you, and now they do not want them.
Okay. Anybody have anything else regarding that?
No.
Seems pretty straightforward, I think. We can at a later meeting, I guess, decide whether anybody else gets them or wants them, but move on. Proposed amendment to the road takeover policy. So, page 8. Earl?
Well, I spent a fair amount of time looking into this, what other towns are doing. They talked to contractors, developers, and a couple engineers too. It seems that this is pretty consistent with what other communities do, and I think if we're gonna be in the business here in the future, and if we're looking at something like the Southern Growth District, I don't believe waiting till the road's all done and completed is the way to verify that they meet our standards. I think the best route is to work with the people that are doing it to make sure they meet our standards, and if they don't, then it'll be public record that they didn't. It won't be something that comes up after the road is built. It'll be determined while the road is being built. Seems to be fair to everybody, and I think it probably would be in the best interest of the town. Now, there's some language in here, like I say, the numbers, if you wanna trade the numbers, go ahead. I put in the ones that I felt based on the conversations I had, and I stayed with the A76. I did specify crushed stone to the standards that the state requires, 3 different kinds. But we do reserve the right to require more in a situation where it would be required. This would help keep the cost of developing as reasonable as it can be in this day and age, without adding additional burdens on the people doing the development or the people buying the property afterwards. So it's there for discussion.
Yeah, I've got a few questions. Compact each layer per Vermont A76 standard. The A76 standard, what I can find looking for is basically a drawing And it gives you a little bit of detail. But I got a talk in here, about the compaction piece. It just says compact to the dimensions shown in accordance with Vermont AOT standard spec. So that's
Yeah.
something that needs to be identified as what is the spec
Yes, I agree 100%
that
with
the
that, Joel.
Vermont standard is that we're gonna use.
Yep, I didn't have that number, so that's why it's not in there,
Okay,
but
I
that
can
would
help.
be added in there.
I can help you with that.
The other,
Another question is, so we're gonna actually do compaction tests?
well, I was told by a couple of people that are in the business that that's really the way to tell if the road was done properly.
Oh, yeah, the last meeting, we talked about costs and whether 15 or 18
Yeah.
inches, well, you start putting in compaction tests, and that's gonna add in what you need to do is we need to lay out how many compaction tests we're gonna require. Because you don't do a 15-inch road in one lift, so you're gonna have to have somebody come in. That needs to be specified.
What's a compaction test?
They have a device after the material is put in and it is rolled, it'll tell you the density. What'll happen is if you don't do a good job compacting it, it'll settle over time. So what they do is you roll it, vibratory roller, then they come in with a device. They actually have to send this material off to a lab and they determine what the best density is, and then they have it's actually a nuclear, one of them's a nuclear device. They make a hole and they put it down there and it'll give you a number, and you wanna shoot for 95% or better compaction. So if you're gonna require a compaction test, then you're actually gonna have to require the samples go to a lab and determine what is the ideal compaction, and then what's also called the gradation, to make sure the right amount of large stone, small stone, etc. meets that requirement. That all should be added in here, because if you're going to require compaction, if you don't have that number, then you can't.
How does that, these are all terms that I'm not familiar with. You have your compaction test, but then you would have your core sample. Which one, is one just a validation of the other, or one is in replacement of the other?
No, they're two different.
Okay,
The core sample is going to tell you the depths, but you can't get a compaction number out of a core sample.
okay.
So that'll tell you whether they put in the 12, 15, 18 inches of material. Compaction will tell you how well they packed it down, so over time you don't get a lot of settlement and so on. If you're walking around an area where you have a sidewalk and a curb, and you'll see the sidewalk is dropped down half, 3/4 of an inch, that's because it wasn't compacted and stuff, and that's what'll happen over time, and you get the same issue with the road.
So you're saying we should have both, or the option thereof? I don't understand.
If you're gonna have someone, road commissioner, road foreman, go up, I'm not sure you have to have core samples on a new development, because you should be able to go up and see with the grade sticks and stuff of what they put down there, but.
Well, I just put that in there, but that could be taken out and just do, I think the compaction, from what the conversation I had, was more critical than the core samples. Because like you say, Joe, yeah, you're gonna be there, you're gonna be able to very visually verify that it does have the depth that it's supposed to have.
Right.
So, you know, but.
Core samples make sense for existing roads.
Yeah,
so
for
that we can
existing
tell.
roads, yeah.
And then you get, I think there's a few things we could work on there, and if you wanna to do that, you're adding on that small Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, probably $5,000-6,000 in testing, just for that small area. Now,
For
if
the
you have a-
compact test?
Yes, just to get the samples, so that you have the information to be able to do the compact test, yeah, that we spend at least that.
At one time, there were 3 or 4 buckets of stone out here.
Right, yeah.
What was that for?
You take it down to a lab in Colchester,
Mm-hmm.
and they run it through, and they tell you that you got so many stone that pass a 2-inch sieve, So when it passes 3/4, they draw a line and if the material doesn't make it, then that material isn't used on the
So was
site.
that used up at the rail trail?
Yes,
It was.
yes.
Now, is that something that would be used on new roads? That kind of a test?
On large projects.
Yeah, large project, okay.
You know, when we're doing smaller work with our own highway crew, you load up a dump truck and you run back and forth and you do it several times and you put water to it and you do it several times and you get it compacted good, but it's not a definitive way that in the world of trying to do it and do it as accurate as possible, you get all this testing.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any reason why you want to do a compact test on the existing road?
Yeah. A road that's been there, the material's naturally compacted after years and years of vehicles driving over it and vibrating and moving that, yeah, there'd be no need.
Okay.
The thing with the existing road, this A76 standard does not say anything about asphalt. Right? It says a road that has a slope of 7% or high volume, you might have asphalt, but this really only talks about dirt road. And I think we should have something in here as a minimum for an existing road of what we want for the asphalt there.
On an existing road,
Correct.
not a new road.
New road, you've already got it.
Yeah.
But if we don't put something here, we tell them they just gotta meet A76, you can have a dirt road.
Well, it says that the depth, thickness or depth of asphalt core sample, so I don't know.
Comply with A76 at a minimum.
Yeah.
A76.
I know, that's for the, amount of, gravel or stone. But then it also says thickness, a minimum, a thickness or depth of asphalt. I mean, it's gotta be asphalt on it. If it isn't paved, we're not gonna take the road over.
Okay, so we should put that.
Okay, yeah, we
put it
can
in
change,
the
if you
thickness
wanna
we
make
want.
that language more clear, well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Because I know the A76 standards in themselves do not require pavement, but we do require pavement. We always did.
Oh, yeah,
So we can
gotta-
just add on, I mean, you're only using the A76 for the base.
So would we add on where it says that, you know, in the new road, they're looking for 2 inches of base and 1.5 inches of wear, what is that, what would that equal to for an existing road?
I would think that's what you'd want. If you don't have 3.5 inches, then they better add some before we take it over. That's just my recommendation.
Now, I didn't get into, putting any more wording in here as how this is gonna be recorded and handled in the town. Because I didn't know if we were even gonna, you know, there's no need of doing that if we're not gonna go forward this way. But if we go forward this way, there should be an addition in, to this that states that, you know, this stuff will be recorded here in the town, so either the road is acceptable to the town standards. You know, it doesn't mean we're gonna take the road over, it just means that it's built to our standards, that'll be recorded here. So 5 or 6 years down the road, somebody comes in here wanting the road to be taken over, we'll already know that it meets our standards for construction. But if it doesn't, you know, through the course of the development, if there's an issue and the developer doesn't wanna correct it to meet our standards, then that'll be recorded too. And they will be notified that this road is not acceptable to the town. So if anybody's buying property up there, they'll have a way of finding that out.
Who would you suggest, and again, this is all new to me, who would you suggest would be the party to identify the issue or the violation or whatever?
Well, I think it would be either the road foreman or the road commissioner during their inspections. And that, I have the provision in there, to bring in a third party
Okay,
civil engineer if there's a real concern. So we can address it during the construction process, you know, and maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll say, okay, we're gonna do it that way, because we want this to be a town road. Or they may just say, well, I'm not gonna spend the money. But then it's recorded that they didn't wanna meet our standards, or wouldn't meet our standards. So people buying property on that area, oh no, that's not gonna be a town road because it wasn't built to our standards, before they buy any property.
Okay,
And I did put that in there, and that's something, I put it in that this third party, the cost would be shared between the town and the developer, not strictly on the developer, because I don't want them to say that we're just doing this, you know. We're gonna have a vested interest, they're gonna have a vested interest.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on the sharing of the costs, and
Well,
I
that's,
think you should, if you're gonna go to this level, then you should require the developer to have an engineer. The one, taking a look at the depth of the material and stuff. Yeah, you can bring the road commissioner up there, but have them pay an engineer right at the beginning to oversee it, which they should anyway, they're having them to design it.
we're not actually overseeing it, we're just going up there to look at it during the construction process, so we know that things were done right. We're not gonna sit there 24 hours a day.
Well, I didn't say
That wasn't,
24 hours
that's
a day.
not the intention.
No, I know, but still going up, and if you wanna make sure it's done right and you're gonna put the road commissioner and the road foreman on the hook, then they're gonna have to spend some time up there. Not 24 hours a day, but you can get a lot of work covered in a day. If you don't go up and check it, then you're not gonna know what you have.
so we're talking about accountability during the process,
Yes.
okay? And I think anytime we can bring accountability to anything we do is good. But I don't think the town should be picking up any of the tab, that's my only concern.
Well, then we can take that out of there and just say the developer will pay for it,
Yeah.
if that's what everybody's comfortable with.
I mean, I just worry about obligating our future select boards and taxpayers and things.
I imagine most developers want to have them as an issue, pay an engineer, everything.
Well, it will be at our request.
Yeah,
And if they refuse to do it, then we can just say the road doesn't meet our standards, and it's recorded, and that's it. You know?
Okay.
So you're gonna redraft this again, or?
I can help you with a few of those things we got in the compaction.
Well, the compaction thing is what I couldn't really get anything clear on. There's so much stuff on there, especially if you start Googling, it's crazy. So that, I'd have to look for help there for sure. If you will change that wording down on that one, on the third party. And we'll add the pavement for the existing roads. And then we'll add the language in there that this is recorded. And, if there's an issue that the town has with the road, it'll be documented. There'll be a letter sent to the developer that'll be in the part of the record. And, so he knows, so they know, they can't say they weren't told. And, it'll be there for people to view if they're concerned about whether that's gonna be a town road or not. And then when they come in here, if somebody comes in here and say, hey, look, we did what we said we would do, but you didn't do what you needed to do, and here's the documentation. It won't be a big argument.
Back on the process of recording it again,
Yeah.
who's gonna be responsible for that?
What's that?
Who in the town hall is gonna be responsible for
Well,
keeping the record?
we got Amy here, don't we? Is there a zoning file on these developments? You keep files on them?
In the vault.
Okay, then that's where it should go.
But you keep a file to the approval of the project, right, once it starts?
You've got each lot and the project, yes. But as far as, you would have to have a separate file for those kinds of things for the whole development. Or make it part of the packet from the DRB.
Yeah.
It would go in there.
That was one of my other thoughts, is that whenever there's a development that comes before the DRB, even if they're not looking to, or they're not saying up front that they want this to be a town road at some point in time, as long as the road that they're proposing for the development qualifies as being a town road, because some roads are too short or don't have enough development on it, right?
Right.
There's a definition. Then they would be handed this policy, and they, so they'll be aware of it up front if they, if they got some kind of plans in the future.
Well, and that's in the bylaws as well.
Yeah,
As far as the 876 standard.
yeah, that's in there, right?
So, and we can put something in the bylaws about this if we need to.
We definitely need to put in about the road policy.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Cause it's,
in there.
I saw we
It
added
is.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
cause that's, yeah, it needs to be in there so that it's not just the A76.
No, it'd be the
Right,
whole,
right.
it'd be the whole policy.
Right,
of
the
it.
current version
Yeah.
of the policy
Yeah.
at the time they were doing it.
And I know in the
Okay.
past it was just 876. I know that's, there was really no policy, it just said that. But this is a policy that they'd have, so if they were, if they want their road to be taken over in the future, they'd have to follow this policy,
Right, so that should probably, the whole policy should be,
handed to it.
Then, under existing road evaluation, core samples shall be extracted from existing roads to determine, you also wanna get the word subbase in there.
Yep.
Cause it's not just the pavement, the subbase is where the strength is of your road. Pavement just keeps the water from getting into the subbase.
And I kinda changed that around a little bit, Joel. I got a subbase as being the sand and the fabric, and the top base being the stone.
The subbase is the stone. The sand and the fabric as a
Yeah.
cushion.
Yeah, the cushion. Now, we can change that wording to put the cushion and then the subbase and keep everything according to what the diagrams are, but I was a little confused because they said subbase and you got this other stuff underneath.
Yes. Yeah, call it the sand cushion. The subbase is your aggregate gravel material.
But this does specifically call for that 704 or whatever, 06, but that's basically driveway mix, different grades, I guess, and not gravel.
You don't want gravel. Gravel is a very loose term.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Some people dig a bank of sand with a little stone in it and they call it gravel. This stuff is very specific, which again, you've got both quarries here that make that,
Yep.
and that's what you take a bucket of that stuff down to make sure it meets that, and you're gonna get
Yeah.
a quality built road.
And actually, I had one guy that's in the construction business at Bill's Road that told me, gravel is different to different people. So you're better off to use these numbers because then it'll be consistency and you'll have a quality product.
You will have a road that will
Yeah.
last.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else? We'll get some changes made and bring a revised, to a meeting. Yep.
Yeah,
No,
get it here
thank
before the next meeting. And everybody got it in their email then.
Yes.
That's amazing.
No, you did it.
Cash management meeting review on page 9. Verbiage starts on page 10, it's on page 11. C.
Couple of meetings ago, we talked about our cash management programs, but I just want to make it very clear before we get into this discussion and the changing how we maybe put our town clerk and treasurer in place and the title for our administrator. We have by far one of the best teams in New England that run our operations here. I don't care if it's, as I call it, the front of the house or the back of the house, whether it's the listers or the zoning or all these other organizations, we really do have a good team. And every time we have a meeting where we start looking at ways to help, it becomes more obvious. So we don't get an opportunity often to say that enough, and I wanted to put it out here on the table. We had a very productive meeting with Kathy and the lady from the people, Barb Toot from the People's Trust Company. Brian sat in. We had Brian, I forgot, what was it?
Joel.
Joel, that's right, I'm sorry, Joel. And we wanted to just get a handle on how things are conducted as it relates to our cash management. And right up front, it's done well. Everything's done well. But like anything, there's always some little ticks that we might consider to help Kathy in doing her job. And these were just my thoughts. And I'd like to start with the last one, which is the Finance Committee of the Board. We're lucky right now, we have 3 people in this room that have banking experience. So if Kathy has a question, she probably already has it answered, or she could talk to Brian, or if whatever came, they could give me a call. We're not always gonna enjoy that luxury. So I think if we set up a finance committee, which could be 1 or 2 members from the board, that would meet with Kathy as her position of town treasurer, just to go over how things are going. Maybe she could share with some of the strategies that she's employing to get the highest yield on the funds. And I think that would be a good communication tool, but equally it would give some of the members of this board some insight and some ability to work with a town treasurer. The other thing is guidelines for management of funds. The example I used here is that if we have some funds that I call idle funds, they're sitting here to be used in the future. Maybe they were the ARPA funds or whatever, but we would recommend that at any opportunity we consider putting these funds in a higher yielding account. I think Kathy does that now, if I understood it correctly, but I'd want to make sure that it's put in writing somewhere that we would seize every opportunity we could to get the highest yield. And then when she calls around to get rates, just make sure we take notes, because somebody's going to come in someday and say, oh, why didn't you go here? She can say, well, here's my worksheet. I called so-and-so bank or a credit union. This is the date, this is who I spoke to, and these are the results. It's one of the things that I think it would just be good to show our taxpayers that we're doing all we can to manage their funds. The other one is what I call the request for proposal. All banks have cash management agreements. It's called the ICS, Kathy, or something like that. They're pretty standard. A bank can do a little self-design on those if they'd like. That's their prerogative. I would like to think that we would send out a new one. The one I have in my desk at home was 2019. The one that Kathy provided to me, which probably by now has been renewed, was April of 2024, which is fine. These things work well. But I think it's time for us to consider sending out a new one. And if nobody responds, other than the current bank we're using with, fine. But at least we've made the effort to see if we can get everybody to sharpen their pencil and maybe a better deal. We don't know if we don't send something out. Now, a couple of things. When we have an RFP, we might want the institution that we're working with to provide an index that we can always look at as to how they pay on our deposits, what rate they would charge on a CD if that's available. And it's always good to have an index that's beyond the bank's control and something that's easily identifiable to the taxpayer. So they could say it's tied to the 1-year treasury minus 100 basis points or something like that. At least it's beyond the control of the institution if they're so willing to provide it. But anybody can pick up a financial paper and say, okay, the rate should be T-bill minus 100, which should be 2.5% or 1.5%. That, I think, is really important. Now, if the banks that we deal with don't want to do it, well, I guess they won't, and we have to make that decision. But it certainly will put us in a position to explain to our taxpayers, we're trying to get the best deal out there in the marketplace. So those were my recommendations. I'm glad to explain them in whatever way.
When I was looking at that, they get renewed the 1st of April every year, or the 1st of March.
No, the contract, the contract we have for a managed balance account can continue forever. Either one party can break it anytime they want.
Okay, so it doesn't make any difference when the request for review or whatever proposal that would make any difference. Because once we got it back, we found something better, we could go to it, we're not obligated,
Right,
we're not.
yep, that's right.
But we should, maybe I didn't mention that, maybe I did. It's good to refresh this every 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm going at.
Yeah. Not that they're doing anything wrong,
Right.
but it's just good to get a fresh look at it.
And right now, based on the meeting we had, we were very comfortable, People's Trust is doing a good job.
Oh, yeah,
Meeting
sure.
all the criteria, which you've got the banking experience, I don't. One thing I am not too crazy about is we don't have a lot of local options, right, for banks.
Well,
I-
we might define local, I guess.
Swanton.
Yeah. We got
What's that?
People's-
It's Swanton.
Yeah,
People's in what, M&T?
And right now, People's, my understanding is we're not getting charged fees, based on the discussions we had with them, correct? Has anybody looked into M&T at all as far as their fees? I know an RFP would do that, but I don't know if anyone knows right now whether, M&T would be charging.
well, that would all come out in the response to the RFP, if in fact they responded. Sometimes they'll say, these things might say the fees will be X, Y, and Z, but the earnings rate will be higher. At the end of the day, it probably offsets them. But
Right.
this thing can take any form that it needs to take, and then we decide which is best for us.
What would be some of the criteria for evaluating?
We might say to them, we would like an index that's maybe beyond your control. We'd like you to tell us what our earnings rate would be. Will there be any fees? Will the fees be waived if the balances are maintained at X number of dollars? We can suggest our wish list and let them come back with their response.
Okay.
Now, one of the other things that we have to remember, we have banks that pay taxes here, and that's very important, and I think that should weigh into our decision, whatever. But there are operations available, it's called remote deposit capture, where you can handle all your banking by feeding the checks through a machine that captures them and reports them to the bank. Now, there are some limitations with that, I understand, but it doesn't restrict us from just being bound to banks that are paying taxes, but I think that's important. That we,
I do that now.
that's what I know, yeah. So the old days, you used to have to run over with your checks and you got credit in 1.7 days. Now it's pretty much automatic, you don't wait anymore. That's why they all paid on collected balances, and collected balances are pretty much whatever you deposited that day. So,
Okay,
those are my thoughts.
all right. I'm not sure on a finance committee, Steve, do we really need a formal committee as small as we are and as accessible as we are?
Brian, did you have some comment on that? On the finance committee? Do you have some comment on that?
Not so I guess I would be like along the lines of Joel. It's everybody's pretty accessible, so it's I'm not really sure what what value that would add other than what we're already doing. That's all.
I was just thinking of helping to educate some of the board members for the function. We could meet as a board, or like we did the last time with Kathy, every 6 months or so too. And we don't have to do anything, but we are responsible for the funds at the end of the day.
Correct.
So we should have some mechanism in there where we can say, yes, we understand our responsibility, and we have conducted periodic meetings with the treasurer.
And we have an annual audit, right?
Yeah.
That takes a look at how the funds are handled in detail.
Internal, external.
What's that?
I said internal, external audit.
Yeah, well, that's good, yeah, can't have enough.
Though to be fair to Steve's point about the finance committee, we do have other conduits to like the library or the road foreman, stuff like that. So I think it would be just adding another committee, another conduit.
Yeah, it would. And I'm just saying, is it necessary with the access we have right now? That was my question. If enough people wanna make it formal, we can make it formal. I'm just not convinced we really need to, that's all.
Why don't we just replace that with a suggestion that we have a meeting with our town treasurer at least every 6 months as a board or representatives from the board, and then that we don't need a special committee, and then we fulfilled that responsibility.
And I'm gonna even go farther to say, we meet with her twice a month already. If we have any questions specific, we can ask her to be prepared to talk to us about it at a meeting. We have that type of visibility already.
With quarterly reporting. So
Okay.
I think that's a lot of, I mean, it's a lot of extra where I don't think there's ever been a question I've asked Kathy that she hasn't been willing to answer immediately or find the answer to.
The RFP though, I think is worth doing, I really do. Just to see if there is potential for more income out there.
And Steve's suggesting we look at that after our annual meeting in 2026. I really think now we concentrate on budgets and getting ready for the town meeting and all our warnings and that
Too
sort of
early to
thing.
do it now, yeah.
Okay? Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, Steve. Moving on. Give me just a minute, bury the page, there we go. New town business, property tax exemption for veterans proposal. Mr. Ron Perrin, that is on page 12. Okay.
There's no property tax exemption now for veterans?
Yes.
There is, yeah,
There is.
if they're a disabled veteran.
What's
If
that?
If it's a disabled veteran,
If it's
they
paid.
can get up to $40,000 off their assessed value. What Mr. Perrin has proposed is, believed would be for all veterans, honorably discharged, that they would get some sort of credit right off the total tax due. He said in New Hampshire they do that, it's administered on the local level. He provided some information as far as, and he was talking $100 to $200, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't hear he proposes 100.
Yeah, and he, in his numbers here, he calculated, he thought there'd be about 150 veterans. I think there may be, I think there's more than that in the town of Swanton.
There is a list.
There is a list of, we know it's an
The
accurate
listers,
list,
the listers have it.
but they're on the exemption,
Right.
but
I
just
can-
somebody who's a veteran, there's no list saying that,
Saying how many veterans.
just somebody's a veteran.
Oh, we
We
don't
don't have
have
a list, yeah.
that. No, we just have the list of the people who apply for it.
Apply for it, yeah.
And qualify.
So.
That's for the disabled one.
That's the disabled one. And which, he's got down 70 disabled veterans registered with the state. So that's probably accurate. They came out of the state's veterans office. I'm just saying the total veterans, I think, is, that we've got more than 150 total veterans, I'm sure, in town.
Maybe, but that's the number anyway to start
Yeah,
the discussion,
right.
but.
Yeah. And that's about it. I had sent him a copy of the agenda and, just not on Zoom, I sent him a copy of the agenda. And he was in at the last meeting and, said we'd have it on, so.
Well, I guess I'm gonna speak as a veteran. I think this is nice, but I think the fact that disabled veterans already are eligible for a program through the state, I think this $100, while that would be nice, I think there's first responders who have served their community really well, or police officers, firefighters, folks work in the ambulances and so on. There are a lot of programs, we do a lot of things to already honor the vets. We've got the great Hometown Heroes program, we got the flags in the park. The disabled vets would be the ones, most impacted, and there's already a program to help them out. This isn't a huge amount of money, but I don't think it's something we should take on. And I'm also gonna clarify, not only that, I'm retired and doing very well as a vet, but I don't think this is something the town should take on.
Probably a lot of those, we have veterans that don't own property either.
You have that too, yeah.
Just when I was thinking about it, I thought maybe, of course, in this day and age, the way things are going, maybe for, veterans that are over 65 or something, we could add that too, to help out with, because they're not gonna be on limited incomes and stuff, but across the board, I don't know, I think I'm gonna agree with Joel that it might be a little bit too much to try to do, but.
Yeah, I agree with Joel. I don't think it's wise at this point to give up any sources of funding that could potentially benefit the town of Swanton. And 15,000, if that number is accurate, there could be, as you said, there could be more veterans that would qualify. It is a chunk of change for sure. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Steve?
Well, we never want to pass up an opportunity to help our veterans. There might be another way to help them continually support them, so I guess I'd have to take your recommendation, Joel, as a veteran, and probably pass on this at this point.
And I agree, I think I would pass, although I'm interested to know if this is something that other communities do, if it's, how well it works there, what kind of systems are put in place, and maybe revisit it at another time.
I think he said he came from New Hampshire, right, is where there was a town that did that.
Yeah.
And the other thing, already our state taxes, right, the education tax, that's income
Sensitive.
corrected anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we just don't take any action on it?
Yeah. And we should thank Mr. Perrin for
Absolutely.
bringing it up, and
I will send him an email.
all right, thank you. Swanton Listers request for proposal for reappraisal, that starts on page 19. Good evening, welcome. Who wants to speak?
I'll speak.
All right, you wanna come up here, you wanna speak from the chair where you're at? Tell us what we got going on.
So you have the reappraisal in there, but then David also had this to share.
Okay.
Okay, so as everybody knows, we've been notified by the state of Vermont that the town of Swanton is required to do a reappraisal. And of course, everybody's question is, why do we have to do it now? And why can't we wait, or why haven't we done it before? So in this piece of paper, with the columns of numbers, that represents two things. The first column is called a common level of appraisal, And the second column is called a coefficient of dispersion. And it shows 8 years here. And the state of Vermont had always decided that if your CLA was to go below 80%, a reappraisal would be required. So when you look at our numbers from the year of 2017 and going forward, we actually hit 80, under 80 in the year 2023. However, in the year 2023, the state of Vermont changed their rules. They did away with using the CLA as a trigger point to require a reappraisal. They decided to start using the COD, and they decided that you had to be over 20% with a COD in order to require a reappraisal. Well, when you look at our numbers, they range from 8.5 up to 18 and now back to 17. I don't think they see that we are going to be hitting 20 at a time period when they want us to. So another thing that has happened is in the last couple years, legislature has met and they're trying to streamline reappraisals. They're trying to make changes within all the towns. And these facts have required many towns to be doing reappraisals. So what they're trying to do is to get us to do our reappraisal to be in a position to meet a new rule for having a reappraisal every 6 years. And this would be required of every town in the state. And so furthermore, when that period comes along and we do it every 6 years, they are working on a plan where we would do a reappraisal in conjunction with another municipality, another town, or it could be they may even put Franklin County together with Grand Isle County and have one reappraisal for those two counties. Or they may put, for example, Swanton together with the town of St. Albans and have one appraisal firm take care of both municipalities. So right now, the state of Vermont wants the town of Swanton to have a reappraisal because of the fact that it has been 18 years since we have done so. So that's what this piece of paper here with the numbers is to represent, and just to point out that we're in a period of transition, and it's been a long time since we've updated our numbers, and it's important that we follow the state rules in order to continue state funding and so on. So we put together a request for proposal. We reviewed various towns that have done this, and we put together one of our own, which we all should have a copy in front of us there. And tried to make it as short and sweet as possible, which is kind of impossible. But I think we saw some that were so wordy in so many pages that it just didn't look attractive. We were at a meeting last winter and we met with one of the guys who is a senior appraiser, and he said, whatever you do, make it short and sweet. He said they had received one in their office from a certain town in Vermont, and it was 70 pages long, and he said we didn't even read it, we put it in the wastebasket and did not respond. So there we go with that. There's a form that looks like this. Does everybody have this?
Yeah, that's on the back of the page that you put
Okay.
the CLA and the COD.
All right, so this is a list that is prepared by the state of Vermont, and these are a list of 14 approved appraiser firms that the state would approve us to use. So when you look down on their addresses, where it says address number 2, if you look down where they're from, you'll see that some are out of state. 6 of them are Vermont companies.
7 actually. There's one in Waitsfield that is not circled.
Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, so there's 7, just half of them are from Vermont. Good point. So the reason I'm pointing that out is that I'm thinking that an appraisal firm from out of state would likely cost more, simply because they would have to be here for an extended period of time, which would involve probably hotel rooms and meals, and other things to make them satisfied. So I thought it would be best that we seek proposals from Vermont companies. There's one particular that has a star on it on the left-hand column, and that's called New England Municipal Resource Center. We know that here in this town hall as NIMRIC, NEMRC. NIMRIC is the company who did our last reappraisal for the year 2007. They are also the creator of our software for all of the listing software and the accounting software that is used here as well. Also, they have created our cost rating system that we call CAMA. It's a commercial mass appraisal system that they have created, and NIMRIC actually owns both systems. And they're very good people to work with, so I'm kind of hoping that that is the one that can do the work for us. And that's, of course, yet to be determined if they're able to do it. So another interesting fact, when talking with this person last winter, who actually, he worked for NIMRIC company, he said right at this point in time, because there's so many towns that are being required to reappraise, that it's not something that we can do quickly. We are actually 4 to 5 years out before this could become reality. Simply because there are so many towns in the state that are being forced to reappraise.
David, just a question, I think I heard you say that the state wants us to reappraise every 6 years.
Yes, that is going to be starting in the future. I think it's going to be starting in the year 27.
Okay, so would we be included in that sphere?
Well, if they can get us to do a reappraisal, if we do it, if they can schedule us, say, in 4 to 5 years, we would then be in their good graces to go forward in the following 6 years.
So we might be exempt from that.
Yeah,
But
Right.
if not, is there a penalty?
no,
There's no,
because they
Non-compliant.
know the situation.
okay.
They know what we're dealing with.
I mean, if we started in 4 years, say 2029, then the state would like us again 6 years later
That's right.
to do it again.
Yeah.
I think it's a rolling 6 years. So if we gotta get the ball rolling,
Yeah.
even to get a place mark for
Exactly.
4 or 5 years down
Right.
the road.
And it has been so long since we've had a reappraisal that it's really good that we can start out this system doing it on our own by Swanton by itself, to get all of our data all up to date and everything in line to be ready to roll into this new program that nobody knows what's even going to develop.
Couple questions. Did we go to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns to see if they had a request for proposals, a standard one to look at?
No, did not go through that source.
I would suggest that we at least give them a shout. And that's only if other people agree, but to me,
It's online, if
Yeah.
you look online, it might be on.
Right.
they might
Now-
have something that's
Yeah,
short
no,
into
when we did research for it to see other towns' proposals,
right.
they were found online. And I'm not sure, as far as I know, we did not get any through the VLCT, Vermont League.
Okay.
We can check that, yeah.
It's just, they might have something that is very good, might even be a little shorter. And
Right. Yeah, I was hoping for something we could just fill in the blanks.
how much are we estimating this might cost?
I believe it is going to be between 500,000 and 600,000.
And how much do we have set aside right
We
now?
have over 600 right now.
As of last year, it was 650. And there should be more added to that. Some money gets added each year. The state of Vermont pays a town a certain amount of money for each parcel that they service.
Especially if we're looking at something that we're saying might be 500,000 or 600,000, and then we got 4 to 5 years of escalation.
Exactly.
On top of that, okay.
Right, right.
And
Might be $1 million by then.
Right.
who approves, what are you suggesting for approval of the RFP? Is it select board, is it your office, is it some combination?
Well, I think what we have put together so far is approved by the Board of Listers. But we would be looking to this board here for support and approval of our decision, simply because the money is coming from the town.
We would have to make a motion to expend whatever amount of money the
Right,
proposal
right.
came in at.
And I would think we would wanna we'd wanna have it an agreement between, this is just me speaking, between the listers and the select board on that process
Right,
before it happens.
and that would be
Because
best.
that'd be very important.
Right,
To keep it all nice and clean and have the right level, I think, of select board input for something of this dollar magnitude
exactly,
early in the process.
yeah.
Yeah. And one thing, David, as you move through this process, if you find that the prices are gonna be climbing rapidly, although we have a nice cushion, you might wanna let us know in advance as soon as you can, so we may have to build that up, which is gonna be a tax item for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know our people at Property Valuation and Review, which is part of the tax department, and they control all the lister offices and so on. They're trying to get legislature to increase the amount per parcel that they pay the towns.
That's what I was gonna ask.
That amount is not very much. I believe it's $8.50 per parcel that they pay us, and we have basically 3,400 parcels that are active, and so they were even trying to get them just to go to $10 a parcel, and it's hard to get legislature to focus on that when they're focused on some big picture of making everybody do this every 6 years.
Yeah, so every 6 years, we would be way fully short
Right,
at $8 a
Right.
parcel. I mean,
exactly.
it's
So
unrealistic.
we're gonna be using a big chunk of our funds, and we're gonna have to look towards the future and say, well, how much are we gonna be acquiring in the coming 5 to 6 years? And are we gonna have to start budgeting extra dollars
That's my
each
point.
year to keep
Yeah.
that level up
Not
and
too
be
early.
It
available?
would be huge,
Yeah, it's
3,000 something, you're talking
Yeah,
between
it's
24
not-
and 30,000 a year. So
Not
at the
too
end-
early to start thinking about it.
At the end of 6 years, you might have 240,000 and
Yeah,
you
about
need 67.
224,000 if they keep paying us the way they have.
Yeah.
It's taken us pretty much.
Yeah,
Unrealistic
2
down
years
there.
Right.
of what we have right now.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I think this,
Oh, go ahead.
well, no, I think the 6-year rotation is a little unrealistic. They want every property inspected.
Yeah.
There's other states with large cities with hundreds of thousands of parcels. They don't go out and,
True.
so
True.
it's gonna be a different
Yeah,
system.
and we really don't know how this is all going to evolve.
Yeah.
You know, they could start using factors, or they could start using inflation rates.
You know, there's other-
But this is what, when they start regionalizing this system, that's when, all of this is gonna come to light, I think.
How long would it take then from the time they start the reappraisal to the final?
That's a very good question.
Because it's been 2 years, 2.5.
Right, you would think they could do it within a year, but I've heard in some cases it has taken 2 to even 3 years to complete a reappraisal.
That should be in the RFP
Yeah,
of what our desired completion timeframe is.
I think there is a paragraph in there about that.
Yeah, I might have missed it.
There's quite a few places where dates are supposed to be inserted and we just have entered to be determined because
yeah, because it's really not known.
So I guess the question for the board, because I just threw out going to the VLCT, or do we just go with this one and firm it up and send it out?
I mean, I think we should check if we need to. What's the objective, to see if we can shorten this by going to the Vermont League of City and Town?
Well, I think what I was catching from Dave is some people get these 70-page RFPs and some have smaller ones. You'd hope this is something the Vermont League of City and Towns has been aware of and have a kind of a standard RFP, but I don't know that. To me, it's one of the things that would be a good location, I think. And I don't know if you got more experience with the VLCT, or whether you think they might even have.
Well,
that.
I get in there and look for a lot of different stuff, so I would be surprised if they didn't have something. But, you know, they may decide, well, this is gonna be out of their territory, but
But you got this information based on other towns' proposals?
yes, yeah.
So I just quick Google search. I looked it up, and it does seem like there's several other towns that have proposals on VLTC. This one for Berlin is significantly shorter, so I would recommend that we do take a look just to see, to make sure.
And it's only 2 weeks away for something that's 4 or 5 years,
Yeah, right.
maybe even in fruition, but if you don't mind,
Sure.
I think it'd be good to take a look at that. come
Very
back
well.
to us, and then
We will
we
do
can
that.
decide to move on, because I think we gotta get it in the pipeline. We
Yes.
gotta,
Oh,
we gotta
definitely.
start the process, because it's gonna take a long time.
it's encouraging, but it's not a surprise. Back when I was in the legislature, we said there just won't be the firms available to do what needs to be done. And I won't, and it's the same also with engineers, with the waste, stormwater, it was the same story. And it was falling on deaf ears. They just didn't understand that we didn't have a plentiful, unlimited number of appraisers.
All right,
And David, if you keep your eagle eye out for the cost,
right,
because you wanna average this and spread it out for the next one. Yeah, just so we can
Yes.
be prepared. We're coming into budget season anyway, and might be a good discussion item.
First, when it gets started, it might give me a good part-time job to go out and be a checker.
Anything else, David?
I think that about covers everything I was going to say.
Anything?
Any other questions?
We're good?
So
Take a
we
look at that,
will
come back
check
to us.
with the Vermont League and see what they have, available, if anything, and we'll go. Should we come back here in a couple of weeks to answer that question, or?
I would recommend.
What do you want to
Recommend
do?
that one of you do, at least.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would also kick around, what you think how the selection process would go. Once the RFPs are received.
No, we probably should be part of the opening process, should probably be done at a select board meeting with the listers.
That's
Because we do have
Yeah,
to.
because you are awarding the contract.
What's that?
The contract's with the town, so you are gonna
Yeah.
award.
Right.
So,
Yeah, this isn't like opening a pavement bid. This is, you're probably gonna bring firms in and talk to them and stuff.
Right, yeah.
Something of this, so there's a procedure of 1 or 2 reps sit down and make suggestions and stuff, so
Right.
and
Some just have to, it's all new to me, so we will see one step at a time how that develops.
So, what would you suggest, that
Check out some
our listers vet a few of these and then bring a recommendation here, or should we get more directly involved?
I think 1 or 2 board members should be right in the vetting process.
Okay,
Because it would be, a bad situation if there's 6 firms and then it's vetted down to 2 or 3, and then we get some type of complaint or something, and we haven't been involved in it, you're talking big dollars, and, you know, that it'd be nice for us to be aware of it right from the beginning, and just say, yeah, we looked at it, and we're all good with it. I'm just throwing that out there, that, again, that's something to
it's
just
good.
jot down some notes and say, this is the way we propose it.
It's good that out of the firms that are in Vermont, at least 3 of them are within commuting distance.
Right.
I mean, you
Right,
got
right.
somebody from Knocket, throw stones at somebody, if you got somebody from Bennington, you're gonna have the
Yeah.
hotel and everything else expense, but, you know.
But again, if this is something that we need to get done, I wouldn't limit that to just, you know, Vermont firms. Somebody from out of state may come in a little bit higher, but may able to get it done in a time that's, you know, within reason comparatively.
Yeah, I think we just push the request out, and
Yeah.
probably send it to all 14. and see who-
They'll build that in.
Right. Okay,
Very well.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Next item of business is the 2026 budget presentation, Swanton Public Library. Page 26, 27, and 28. Good evening,
Hi, guys.
how we doing?
All right.
So we all got the proposal. Sure, there's a few questions. One, are we asking the voters for this, is it 79.4?
Yeah.
Because what I don't understand is, so you got 79.4, but then you got salaries at 174.90.
That's
That's in the town.
That's
part
the
of
town.
that's in the other budget.
This is-
That's where it is,
yeah,
yes, okay,
the operating.
Yeah, we got two things going on here.
all right, that answers my question. Yes,
Oh, that's for the year to date, okay, I got it.
so 1.8%, that's certainly nice, and what I don't see under revenue, and I guess I was thinking about this when you did the quarterly, is some of these trusts, you'll be getting revenue from these trusts, right?
It's
Right.
listed, the Webster and the Vera Klein. On
For
the-
2026, it looks like you're not getting any
Oh, oh.
income, any revenue from them.
Well, we can't tell.
Oh, it's not something that specifically says every year,
No,
okay.
no, it all
We'll get
depends.
something, we just don't know what. It
What?
varies pretty dramatically.
But has it been relatively consistent though, ladies?
It's been reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Could
something
graph
that
it.
you could use a number that's representative of a pattern, maybe.
Well,
Yeah, because to me, it's very hard to tell here what your annual operating costs are. You're anticipating 79.4, but you've got the potential to get 23 and 35, so what, 58,000, 60,000 additional dollars, which I'm assuming that
Well,
is
more
part of
than,
your operating expense.
Well, we can't, some of that money is targeted. It's restricted as to what we can use it for.
like, all of that grant money isn't part of the operating.
So you don't,
expense.
And the
don't-
grant money is
Okay.
all targeted to
like
other
book
things, like
purchases and
programs.
things, programs.
Mostly,
Mostly specific programs.
yeah.
Okay,
Is the trust money targeted too, or?
The Vera one is
Yeah.
targeted.
And we can stick in there, 15,000 from Webster, 5,000 from Vera, and that should be a ballpark. Of course, the stock market may completely crash.
yeah, I guess that's what I was, yeah, the grants are gonna be the programs you actually write and get
Yeah.
grants from,
Right,
understand, but the trust is what I'm thinking that's some dollar figure approximate you get every year, whether it's 15 or 5. Are the trust also targeted as far as
One of them
expenditure?
is.
One of them is?
The Vera
The
Klein
Vera.
one is.
Okay. So the Webster Trust you can use toward operating expenses.
And we do, so if you'll
Yeah.
see we what's over budget there is mostly stuff that we plan on going over budget for, and we use the Webster to cover that.
I think things like health insurance and other benefits are included in the staff salaries section.
Yes.
Okay, they're just not listed. Okay.
This is just their
Yeah.
salaries.
Oh, yes.
The benefits are in our budget
That's
that
in your budget.
that we do.
Okay.
It's a different budget.
It's a different
So the
budget.
benefits will show there, not on.
No. Okay.
Just a question. First of all, I love reading what you guys do in the
Thank you.
papers. It's pretty impressive, really, for the community group. If we use the 79.4, and then we are fortunate enough to use some of the unrestricted funds from these two trusts, what do you think that 79.4 would be reduced to?
It wouldn't, because as I said before, this is like the bare minimum that we would spend, but we always plan on being over budget. So the Webster covers the stuff that's over that
Yeah,
budget.
that's what I just
For
asked.
example, we asked for 9,000 for books, for building the collection, but we usually
Closer to 12.
go way over that to 12 or 13.
And same with programs, same with camp. That's all stuff that we plan on being over budget for, and then we use the Webster to cover that.
And for the periodic emergency,
What's that?
for the occasional emergency.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah, you gotta,
Yeah, just out of curiosity, change in software or cost?
Just costs gone up on literally
It went
everything.
so up.
Yeah.
I wish we had new software.
That's why I know you weren't happy with it, that's why I was
Same
curious.
junky software.
Okay.
Just pay more for it.
Yeah, office supplies too.
Everything.
yeah, you have a reduction in your, electricity and water, and natural gas. Of course, this is gonna be your first winter with the installation done, so.
Yeah, it's already reduced from last year, so.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
So
So
fingers crossed.
you're seeing a big, difference then already?
yeah, I think so.
Good, good.
So the
My
79.4,
bone builders are toasty up in the, they asked me to turn it down, so.
so
That's good.
79.4 might be a high number, based on whatever we get on the bottom here. From grants and,
Not necessarily.
The grant, nothing we've spent from grants is up in the upper budget, that's all in the bottom. Grants just come out even.
okay. So we're looking at 79.4. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
The ask for the,
Yeah.
basically the warning that goes out for the
Right.
taxpayers. And then you'll buy more books if you get more out of,
Or more programs,
right, or more.
Or both.
Right,
or both, probably both.
okay? Are we good?
Yeah, I'm good. You guys did a good job. 1.8% is a reasonable increase because we were shooting for no more than 3. You kept your salary increases at 3%, which is what probably in the range you're gonna be with everybody else, so, you know.
Nick, you had a question?
Yeah, it's just two clarifications, some line items, giveaway books and GMLC.
Giveaway books is like how we do Halloween in the park. We give books to kids, and it also like some book clubs and other times that we give books away to the community. And then GMLC is the online consortium that we use for like audiobooks and things like that.
Okay.
Just one other question, you don't have your blinking lights out on the tree this year.
No, I fixed them.
What?
I fixed them. We're
Oh,
gonna.
you got them running?
I think that was the Halloween ones, or was it the Christmas ones?
Christmas one, I thought
Oh,
it
maybe.
was Christmas, but.
I'll look at them. I haven't put those on yet. That's this week's problem.
All right, any other
In the
questions?
snow now. Should have done it
Yeah.
last week.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you
Mini
guys.
Community Center.
Yeah, you do a great job, you really do.
Thank you.
Next item is E, amended resolution relative to the special funds account on page 29.
Okay, if you take a look at that, what we were informed, and Kathy got more of this than I did, but As you know, we took the ARPA, what was formerly known as ARPA, and back in March of 2024, we signed a resolution that we would use ARPA funds for the, no longer be called ARPA, they were going to be called special funds, and we were going to use the special funds for workforce retention. So the federal government has come out with other guidelines, and there's going to be a report due next spring. What we had to do is designate by each year for 2023 and for 2024 the dollar amount for each year that the workforce retention would be. And the workforce retention basically was the salaries.
Salaries and benefits.
Salaries and benefits. So this is a resolution that that for 2023, it was $597,625.85. And in 2024, it's $470,849.10. And what that further does is keep each one of those years at less than $750,000, which is a magic number, because if you do over $750,000 in federal grants, it requires an additional single audit. So the LCT is the one that came up with this suggestion. So we wrote this up. We've sent it to Chris Goulet of A.N. Peisch, and they're good with it. So we just need the amendment to that resolution to do this, so that come April, when that report is filed, we shouldn't have any more problems.
It'll be our last filing.
Be the last filing. Yeah. So that's what this is trying to accomplish.
Okay,
I'll move that we adopt this resolution.
do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and second to adopt the resolution of the American Rescue Plan Act for the years 23 and 24.
And I'll pass
Is
this.
there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right. Line of credit renewal.
Okay, so it's that time this year to renew our line of credit, and I did contact some other banks for rates, and some banks did not get back to me. And one did get back to me, and their rate is 3.25% higher than what we're gonna get at People's Trust Company. Rate's gonna be 2.25. I was quoted 5.5 at the institution that didn't get back to me.
5.5?
Yeah.
That's the muni rate? The tax, that's the muni tax exempt rate?
That's what they told me the rate would be on, for getting a line of credit with them,
Wow.
was 5.5.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too.
How much do we have the credit line for?
500,000.
500,000.
Hey, we use it much, Kathy?
Well, we haven't then.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Because we have
We had this.
I guess we have
good
the-
balance in the,
exactly. But normally, like if we, normally we don't have a lot of money because we don't generate income per se. We just collect tax money and then we disperse it to
Yep.
school and fire department and that stuff. So we've had money, extra money because of the special funds that we haven't had to borrow the money.
and that balance is well
And that
over the
balance is-
500,000
right.
line of credit we're seeking.
Yes.
Yeah, just a rule of thumb, that your muni rate is a tax exempt rate, the lender does not pay taxes on that. And that usually runs about 60% of prime. So
That was
the
like,
rate that you just got is probably within that range. I don't know where the other one came from, that's a high rate.
Yeah, I think I have an email from them actually.
So that was
Either
higher.
it was over
Wow.
What was the rate from the other bank?
5.5.
That's the lowest we can get?
no,
That's what they're, no, we were
That's what
getting
they were.
2.25, but I shopped around the rates
Yeah.
at different institutions. And out of the 5 ones I contacted, only one got back to me and they were at 5.5%.
So what's our rate gonna be? We're gonna say,
2.25,
with the same bank we are?
yes.
Okay.
Now, is that fixed?
What bank is that?
People's Trust.
People's Trust, okay.
Is that gonna be fixed or is that variable?
No, it's fixed.
Fixed.
Do we have to sign something?
You will, you've been signing them.
Okay,
They have to make a motion to let you sign the
Okay.
note.
okay. Well, then I'll move that we, go with our present bank because the rate is cheaper and we allow the chair to sign.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to renew our line of credit with People's Trust and that the chair be allowed to sign the document. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Okay, item G, something Steve brought up in an email, and actually last meeting, when we were looking for agenda items, that and the next were a couple of things he had proposed in an email, so we put them on the agenda. First one is town clerk and treasurer from elected position to appointed.
And again, these are for discussion purposes, but they do deal with the governance and how we manage the governance of all of our affairs. Now, I tell you, hands down, if this were an appointed position for the town clerk and treasurer, Kathy'd have it, okay? So that's not an issue that we're dissatisfied with, but going forward, I think that it's probably in our best interest that we move from an elected position and we appoint the town clerk and treasurer, because we're probably gonna have some particular needs that we want to address, whether it's familiarity with certain accounting or whatever. But I think it's something we should be discussing, and I'm not sure, I was gonna ask you, Brian, I was tied up today, how many communities left in Vermont elect the town clerk and treasurer versus appointed?
I can check, I don't know the exact number, but I'd still say the majority of them probably are elected.
They are, okay, well, that's fine,
Yeah.
but I think it's something that we should be looking forward, talking about, looking forward. And nothing we have to take action on, but we probably should gather some information. Then we can say at a point in time, we discussed this, we're happy as hell with what we have, and let's move forward, or we wanna make a change. So,
One question I have about it is, have there been contested elections for town clerk in, let's say, the past 50 years?
Say
Just
50
one.
years?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, there has
There
been.
has been 50.
There was,
I've been 50 years.
Were you talking specific to Swanton? or-
Yeah, Swan.
uh,
Okay, maybe 50 years too much.
Only one that I remember, and that was you.
back when Frank of Alsos was elected, that was a three-way contested election.
Okay. He was the one, not before Kathy, but before
Doris.
Doris.
this is way back, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
way back, 50 years ago.
Well, Kathy was elected, contested.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's,
but prior to
that, it was,
yeah, Frank.
Frank, okay.
So we'll do some more research, and this is an election year. So, yeah, I think we gather more info and
Sure, I mean, it's
discuss
just
it
something we
further.
should, again, we gotta look forward. We're 6,750 people, I think.
Well, depends what you see.
Okay,
Could be as much as 7,003.
okay, well, that's, so we're getting big. We're getting big. We're very complex, and someday that might serve us well.
Any other thoughts at this stage?
No, I mean, I can see where a town could get in a situation, I've read about them. But that hasn't happened in Swanton, we've always had qualified people to do the work, and my concern would be probably more with the treasurer than the town clerk, but, because of all the state requirements and this and that, but at the present time, I don't really see much need for it, unless Kathy wants to retire.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's when it might come up.
Right.
Yeah, that is.
Right? We're not gonna always
Yep.
be lucky to get a Kathy. You
Yep.
have to remember that. And, we're gonna be in charge at some point, yeah.
I personally think that compared to town clerk, there's other positions that we could be looking at that take more pressing priority that could be appointed. Maybe the listers for,
Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
bring that up.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
the listers.
Yeah,
That-
that's exactly,
that-
let's say Burger College, I agree. right there.
There's issues.
Yeah.
And getting off the subject, but that is very complicated. The state is making it worse and worse and worse. To expect somebody to volunteer to run for that office coming in cold. I think we should be looking at that.
And it limits us to people that live in Swanton.
Right.
So if we make it a hard position, then we have more of a net of people.
Right.
You know, and someday the road foreman might become the road commissioner, you know, depending on,
Yeah.
It wasn't a pass.
there wasn't a pass.
Yeah.
Not that Joel's not doing a good job, he's doing a great job, but we just gotta remember, we're growing and growing and
Yeah,
things change.
that's true.
And so I think we should discuss, and we got a few more meetings to discuss it, is maybe putting that on the ballot for the listers.
Yeah.
But that's up to the board members. But
No, I think,
I agree that there's certain requirements that should be part of the package that may not be when it's just someone throwing their name in and getting voted into the position.
Well, we need to have that discussion with the listers, and I think if they're coming back in 2 weeks, that should be part of the agenda, as, you know. Because if we are gonna do something at town meeting time now, we've gotta get moving.
Okay.
And one other thing, when it comes to the town clerk, why I brought up, has there been an election, has there been contested election? Because there's other towns, and it's been, I know for like example, Sheldon struggled to find a town clerk. And it could be an issue that pops up once Kathy retires, for sure.
Yeah, and I just wanna reiterate what Steve says, between this term and then the previous one, worked 10 years with Kathy and just got absolute great
Oh,
results
absolutely,
when asking for
absolutely.
information
Yep,
and so on, so.
Yep.
And what I heard is already, some people saw this on the agenda and they're making comments, like, what's wrong? I
Yeah,
wanna make it very clear to folks out there that are watching this, there's nothing wrong, it's just discussion items on how we do this in the future. Nothing, no issues with the,
Nope.
town clerk and treasurer's, duties today, for sure. Okay. Next one, H, town administrator position to town manager.
That's again my doings. We have a very good board and they work hard. They put in a lot of time between meetings. We know that it's becoming more and more difficult to attract people that want to spend the time. That's needed. Ryan does an outstanding job as well. And at some point, if we go to 7,300 people, that's what the number is, to allow the town administrator to be able to perform the job more efficiently, if that's possible, we might want to consider elevating their role from administrator to manager. Now, I think Joel probably spends 20 hours a week at this, and I look around the board, and all of you do, and that's admirable. But perhaps if we looked at the town manager versus the town administrator, they would take more of the day-to-day operational duties, and someone new looking at coming on the board might not feel threatened with the amount of time that's needed. And Brian, I'm not sure what your retirement plans are. I did talk about that with you earlier, and I don't know if you want to discuss that, but when you know, your involvement in the legislature, your involvement as a trustee for 15 years, your activities in banking, you're a pretty valuable asset for us. We want to make sure that we have that level of value going forward, but we may have to enhance that position. That's my thought.
Yeah. Answer, I said when I was hired, I'd do it for a minimum of 5 years, and that would take us to just about next year at this time. I've been on now for 4 years. But I would not expect somebody to come into the job like I did on January 1st, especially if you hired somebody with little municipal experience, because that's when the budgets are being built. And so I would then target, if I do retire, it'll be no sooner than July 1 of 2027. That way, you know, but you know, there's variables, but that's assuming that my health stays okay, and because I do enjoy the work, it's certainly interesting. So you know, that's it's ultimately going to be you know, it's the decision of the voters whether to go to the town manager
Sure.
form of government. You know, the board can put it on probably next year at this time, put it on the ballot. It could be authorized to do the switch, and then we're gonna take it from there.
How many towns our size are now going with the town manager versus the town administrator?
Without looking, I dare say we're probably the largest town without a town manager.
Okay.
I think most everybody's got one, but I'll double check that when I'm looking at the other thing of the town
And-
clerk's job.
And one thing we don't wanna forget, when we're talking about this, Christina is
Yeah.
a valuable player
Very valuable.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So, we don't wanna discount what
Right.
she's doing
Right.
either. But I think we should, it's not too early for us to start thinking about these kinds of things, especially with Brian retiring. Again, with his community knowledge and everything I just mentioned, it's tough shoes to fill.
Yeah, I certainly think it's something we take a look at and spend more time post
Yeah.
elections this
Yeah,
time around,
absolutely. Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
there are some very interesting things about who would come under the manager, and then we'd have to change that, and that fits also right in with the whole Lister thing.
Yeah.
And, if that
Yeah.
were to be changed,
Yeah.
that could
Basically,
be part of that reorg.
bottom line,
I'm
all
not-
employees come under the manager.
You know, I'm not proposing we do this at
Yeah.
the next town meeting. I think it's something we need to think through
Yeah,
and be
right.
prepared.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything, Earl?
No,
Cool.
good.
Nick?
Good.
Okay, moving right along, vote for salary increase for town employees for 2026.
Last meeting, we discussed 3%.
Yep.
Okay, but the only thing is, it was brought to my attention, it was not voted on, so we need a vote on that, so
Oh.
that'll satisfy the auditor.
I'll entertain a motion to set the salary increase for town employees to 3%.
So move.
Second.
Motion been made, second. Any further discussion?
I abstain.
Oh, that's right, you are, too.
Hearing. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved, give you 5% if we could. Next is J, Christmas employee appreciation.
Christmas is coming on up, the last couple of years, we've given each employee a gift card, Visa gift card for $150. They're all very appreciative of that. I don't know if you'd like to do that, what you'd like to do. I think we have, if my math is correct here, we have 11 employees, it'd be $1,650.
Those are 15 last year.
Well, I have to go back and see who we bought last year, make sure we don't slate
Those
anybody.
four employees.
They do it for the select board. The select board,
No, but you didn't
Yeah,
last year
we-
either. The
No,
only person that should be less would be Jim.
Jim.
He should be 14.
where did we get? Where was it?
Just trying to-
You can take a look at the number,
Yeah.
we can just say amount if we agree that that's what we wanna do, I'm all for it.
Sure.
well, I was thinking about this too, and, we have a pretty good group of employees. I know we can't go too crazy, but I'm thinking $200.
Okay.
That's, it's all what the rest of the board wants to do.
And we don't, I mean, we voted ourselves out of this a couple of years ago.
We're not
Yeah,
involved
yeah,
in this,
and-
no.
Yeah, so we did have a savings there.
Yeah.
And I think we passed that on to the employees right away.
Oh, I know, yeah, the others were,
Oh, Jim and,
Jim and,
did we do Jim and,
we did Jim
oh.
Jim Benson. And we did the
Safety.
health officer.
Health officer.
No. And then Jim Pratt was on, but he's retired, so, yeah.
So if we get 11 employees, 11, that's
Well, it'd
five,
be now, it'd be if we give those, that would be
2,200.
2,200.
but the difference would be between 150 and 200. If you got 13 employees, that's $650.
Yeah, it's not a great amount of money,
Payroll warrant.
and I know other companies, that, are given, for the type of employees that we have, they get sizable, better bonuses, so. But I know we're limited, but.
So, it's actually more than 11, right? You got 13 if you do those two?
13.
Yeah.
It was, what, 14 or 15 last year? I don't know.
Rolling by the minute.
1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
You don't give
14.
one to Joe.
So 13.
We don't,
You haven't in the past.
No, I don't think
What?
we did.
what?
What?
Joel, cleaner.
Joe.
No, that's his contract.
I think we do a motion, one amount, it's kicked around as 200, and we take a look at how we did it last year, and unless there's some significant change, we let
3,
Brian handle that decision.
Okay.
9, 10,
Can I
11,
get a
12.
motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion been made and second to give $200 to the town employees, and same people, same positions as last year, not necessarily the same people, and Brian would take a look at that, and if there's any issues, get back to us.
Right.
Eric, that's been, motion been made, second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Opposed,
thank you.
so moved. Promote Swanton update.
We're still waiting on Eco Picture to finish that up, to get that going, get the up, and then I did have, maybe a proposal we might bring before the board is to, have the rec director be the point person for community events, to get the information here so we can get it listed. Because she works with the library, you work with everybody else closely, so you know more what's going on, and you can get the information in here, so we can get it listed.
How's that fit with your workload?
You know me, I always love doing things for the good old town of Swanton.
But I think you should run it by the rec committee.
It's part
You're
of
essentially doing a lot of that right now.
it's
anyway.
part
It's
of
just
what I
different
do,
format.
right? Just getting it, if for whatever reason I decided not to be the rec director anymore, making it sure that it's part of the job duties if that's something that the select board wants the recreation department to continue to do.
Yeah, I suggest you run it through your board and come back to us.
Okay.
I think that's all we need to do for that. Okay, anything else on promote Swanton?
Oh, no, not till, we're trying to get that website up and going.
Okay. Any other necessary business / correspondence? We got an email from the village about the police budget, and right now we do that budget. It doesn't get approved till the voting in March. So asked whether we wanted to start one January, and I don't think we can do that yet, because if the voters happen to turn that budget down, we're essentially signing a contract with the village that it's a fair amount of money that we'd be on the hook for if the voters turn down the police contract. It makes it just a little crazy in how it spreads those over another quarter into a different fiscal year, but I think that's the way we gotta continue.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems they have with getting a budget to us too, because they have to figure it a little backwards or how to.
Well, not so much, their problem is waiting for the numbers for dispatch fees from the city of St. Albans that operates on a fiscal year, July 1. And that's a fairly significant amount of money they pay in dispatch fees, so there's where the problem is. So, yeah.
So it doesn't really make any difference to them when we start our contract. The issue's more with the dispatch.
Well, for getting their budget done.
Yeah.
They would, I think for everybody's sake, it would be easier to switch it to 1 January. I just don't think we can
We
basically enter into an agreement with them that that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, we're
The
gonna
voters
do
haven't
the,
approved.
yeah, with the contract will run. It'll
Big
go
tough one
from,
got voted down and we had
What
to.
about the fire? I mean,
well, this is, there'll be a contract this year for the first time. They've done full protection for Swanton since 1962 without a contract, but we've got one that's gonna get done, and I'll keep it in the same date because the same thing applies.
Yeah.
But,
It would be a very, very serious day when that got voted down on providing services, and we'd be meeting very quickly and getting.
Oh, yeah,
results.
because there would be a lot of businesses, insurance
Yeah.
companies.
Watch
would
your
not
insurance
be
goes up.
As
happy.
much as we need the police, there is at least
Yeah.
some minimal police, but if the fire issue,
Yeah.
that would,
You take
we'd be in here.
some of our commercial
Yeah.
industrial customers, their insurance would go through the roof.
Well, homeowners would.
And homeowners.
So
Absolutely.
if everybody's good with it, Brian can get back to the village and
Yeah.
say, we're just gonna continue as we have been.
Yeah, the risk would be quite a bit.
Yeah,
We're looking at a sizable amount.
9 months would be 300,
Right,
Yeah.
between 300 and 400,000.
so I'll let them know tomorrow. Yep.
In the future, if we can get that fixed some way, but I think it's gonna take some other organizational changes. Animal control, you had something, Brian?
Yeah, Jim Benson, though it's not in his job description, but he's frequently asked by people of this community and others if they had if there was a dog trap that he could use to trap a dog that may be on the loose. And so he has bought one or wishes to buy one. It's $465.29. If you split it between the 6 towns that he serves, it's $77.55 a town. As of this little memo he sent me, Isle of Mont has agreed to go on to the traps, which I got this last week, just before Thanksgiving. So $77.55, and if it can assist somebody finding their lost dog or getting their lost dog back.
Well, I'll move that we, agree to the amount, $77, whatever it is, as long as all the other towns agree.
Right. Okay.
And then okay, so that's, is that a motion?
Yes.
Or a second?
Second.
Any
Just one question,
discussion?
do you wanna go a little higher in case the price or the taxes or something goes? I don't wanna tie Brian's hands. You wanna say like under $100 or something like that, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Up to 100.
Up to 100.
Should be tax-free, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, see, if he orders it, he's gonna end up, but if we order it.
Or better
I
yet,
think he may have.
up to 100, but we don't pay any more than the other towns have to pay.
Yeah, that's
Up to
fine.
100
And then
or
He's
a
actually
sixth of the
bought
cost.
two
Yeah.
traps. This is for 2 traps. Yeah.
And then the only thing I was gonna ask in our discussion is what happens when Jim moves on?
Right. A good question.
Or we not worry about it because it's just not that large of an amount.
Yeah, that's clear.
That's probably the best thing, otherwise, with
But I
how
don't
many
know.
towns, 6
If Jim
towns?
is doing 6 towns, he probably plans on being around for a while. We should get our money's worth out of it.
Yeah, okay,
He wants to be a full-time animal.
Yeah, he wants to be full-time.
all right,
One
any other discussion?
Yeah, just how the trap works. I imagine it's just a gate that closes.
Well, it's pretty much, that's it right there. It's good and big, so they're not in the too tight space. So, yeah.
I guess my only other question to him is if he catches a dog that it's an unfounded dog, are we going to have, what's the procedure going to be? Are we gonna pay for boarding or kenneling the dog? Cause I don't know that, the town wants to incur that if he's just out there trapping dogs
Right,
and
yeah.
sideways.
But I think he's only doing it probably by request only of somebody, but I don't know I'll have to talk to him more about that.
Sounded to me like he was letting it out to people if they wanted to use it.
Yeah, that could be that as well.
So who's gonna own it, him?
He will own it.
Okay, so we wouldn't have any liability if Fido got
Right,
hurt in it,
right.
okay.
No, and he's very conscious of that.
Depends how good a lawyer somebody gets, because he's working on our behalf.
Yeah, Fido's
Yeah.
going to court.
All right, any other discussion?
We didn't vote on it. You want to vote?
No, that's what I
Okay,
was gonna say.
okay.
All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Anybody have anything special for the next meeting, 16 December? I know one thing is highway budget, I'll have that ready. General, do you think we'll have general budget prepped? That's a yes.
Correct, yes, that's a yes.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
yes.
Cause we're getting running out of time, I mean, we're only gonna have probably one other meeting in January and the budget's gonna be in, we got the libraries tonight. And I'd ask that Brian get hold of rec and talk with the village about the police and fire. They probably won't make it for the end of December, or the December meeting, but we asked
Well, is it possible when you ask them, Brian, I mean, they ought to have some idea or a ballpark idea, is it gonna be 3%, is it gonna be 10%? Increases?
Yeah, I can ask them, they don't know about the dispatch, obviously.
I don't
but-
understand that.
But, the rest of it,
Yeah, the rest of it should be,
Yeah.
if there's something there that we should be made
yeah,
aware of,
right,
hopefully there isn't.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
gotta-
I harp on the highway budget, you asphalt, you don't know what the
Right.
tonnage costs.
Yeah, but you're gonna budget
You budget a
somewhat.
certain number.
Yeah.
Alright. Anything else?
I-
Go ahead, Nick, I got just.
Just one small thing, I just wanna give a shout out to Swanton Chamber of Commerce and all the volunteers that helped out with Christmas in the park on Saturday. We had a pretty decent turnout and it was a lot of fun, so looking forward to next year.
Okay, but as far as agenda,
Oh, dinner?
no, okay, so this is a public comment then, alright.
Okay, public comment.
Steve?
Yeah, I just wanna, I think everybody read somewhere in the news that the tax letter came out and they're looking at a 12% increase in taxes this year. I don't know where the hell it's gonna go, but we gotta bear that in mind as we prepare our budgets, that's all. And Brian, I don't know what you're hearing, but 12%, last year they bought it down. I don't know how many years they can continue to buy this stuff.
Well, that's it, it's gonna come back. The governor wants to get it down to 3%. I had a person call me today, a local resident, and he had called the governor's office, and the young man he spoke to in the governor's office says, well, the governor wants to get it down to 3%. So there's quite a spread there, but,
And what is that, say they ended up with a 3% increase, how does that work? Let's just say it's a $300,000 home.
that,
I know we're gonna have to
Yeah.
tax the rebates that people get from the state and
That's
stuff.
almost impossible.
it is, it's
Okay.
really impossible. The thing is, nobody understands, very few people
Yeah, but I don't
understand
understand.
how that works. And, so that right there is a problem. Days when, you go to town meeting and you could sit there with a calculator or figure it by hand, you'd have a pretty good idea what your total taxes were gonna be
Sure.
when you left. Well, those days are long.
I was just curious.
Yeah, but he's hoping to get it down to 3%. Be interesting, but anyways, the 12% is $111 million.
No, we're on
Okay.
this. I'd just like to bring this up too, the last TAC meeting was a meeting with Matt was there because he's head of the, transportation committee. And it was on, we were talking about transportation funding and what's going on and everything. I think as far as our town funds that we get, highway funds, they're gonna at least be the same, maybe a little bit more because they changed the formula down there and they can't give us less. How much more we get is gonna depend on a lot of things and it might have looked good, but then when they came out with that 12%, then they're probably gonna backfill some of the money that would've went into transportation, but at least, our state highway grant should at least remain the same, maybe a little slightly increased.
And I can't remember where Matt was, and actually, surprisingly, they're expecting more money coming from Washington. It's about transportation is gonna
Oh,
get more money.
SEP meeting.
Yeah, that was it, yeah,
SEP
so it shocked everybody, so we'll see what develops there.
We'll see when we get the actual number.
Before everybody leaves, you all got a copy of this letter, I just would like everybody to sign it, I got the signature page here.
Yeah, I'm gonna open this up to, public comment, if anybody has anything now that we're toward the end of the meeting.
Thanks for coming.
Anything? Okay. So we get the letter to sign. Upcoming events.
Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 will be the planning commission meeting at 5 PM here at the town office. Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 will be a regular select board meeting at 6 PM here at the town office.
Okay.
There is no DRB in December.
There is no DRB in December.
Executive session.
You don't need it.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, second, any
Oh, we
discussion?
got the
I got
original?
the real.
All in
thing.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved, you just can't leave till you sign the letter.